Dillian, the body snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Right, so the post-fight review for Sam Nowhere to Hide versus Richard Riakporhe. In this one, I was split before the fight. I felt that Riakporhe probably had more power, but I felt that Sam Hyde had more technical ability about him. But listen, they're both young. They're both very, very young into the pro game, of course. Richard Riakporhe, he is, of course, a fighter under the management and guidance of Dillian Whyte, trained by the same guy as well, of course, Tibbs there. Now, this fight only went 8 rounds. And the reason for that is because Riakporhe hit Sam Hyde with a big right, hit him right on the temple or eyebrow of Sam Hyde on the left-hand side of his eyebrow there. And it just came up like a balloon straight away. So it was no clash of heads, or not that I've seen anyway, but it did seem that it was the punch that done it. And it come up real bad. He looked like the damn elephant man. And Joe Gallagher was definitely right about throwing the towel in. And with 1 minute to go of round number 8, it was a 10-rounder, so there was 2 more rounds to go. But it's a case of, as a cornerman, what do you do with that kind of situation? For me, I've only ever seen this kind of situation, I can only think off the top of my head, twice. Dennis Lebendev was one, and it was Hasim Rahman. I remember seeing him. Actually, I think Evander Holyfield had it done to him as well at one point. I'm not sure, I'm confused. Anyway, yeah, nasty injury. Very, very nasty. I don't know what you would do with that kind of injury. I mean, had you got to, the last minute of round 8, I think it's about 1 minute to 30 seconds left or something like that of round number 8, and had the corner had, I don't know what you do. You put ice on it, will it go down straight away? Unlikely. Do you stick a pin in it and pop it like a boil? Probably not. I don't know. Or a blister, should we say. But anyway, up until that point, Sam Hyde was dominating Richard Riakporhe. And that's just my opinion. And listen, I am biased when it comes to like Dillian Whyte and everything, but I have to be critical where criticism is warranted. In the sense of, he's got the fundamentals, he's got the power, and he does have a lot of skill about him, Mr. Richard Riakporhe. But he just wasn't utilising it. Was it a case of he was, stage fright maybe? But every punch he was throwing, he was doing it to hurt Sam Hyde. And a lot of them were missing. At this kind of level, when you're going towards a British level and onwards, you need to use your jab to set up a big right hand. Use the body shots a hell of a lot more. But it seemed that every time he threw a left, it was to hurt. Now, it's a good idea, because I like the way that Kubrat Pulev fights, with the fact that when he uses his left, he does it to sting you. He doesn't do it to knock you out. He does it to sting you, to set you up for the right. And Richard Riakporhe has almost got it wrong in the sense of he's trying to wobble his opponent and get his opponent to back off because of the left, when what you really want to be doing is setting it up. Hurt him, of course, but don't put all your might into it. But the thing that had me a little bit worried throughout this fight for him was the fact that Sam Hyde was controlling the fight. He was controlling the distance, and he's a smaller fighter. And it seemed that Richard Riakporhe was always within the distance of Sam Hyde, even though he's taller. If he just stepped back just 6 inches, then he was out of reach of Sam Hyde, but within reach of his own. And he just didn't seem to do it. He didn't find his range all night. And that's the unfortunate thing. And whenever Sam Hyde hit him, you could clearly see that Richard Riakporhe was hurting. He was pulling wincing faces and all sorts. And that's going to give his opponent confidence. So as he's moving up in the levels of cruiserweight, there's some real killers out there. If they see that look on your face, they're just going to go for it. It's going to give them real confidence. And no matter how much you're hurting, you have to bite down on that gum shield and try and be as poker-faced as possible. And Richard Riakporhe just wasn't doing that at all. Sam Hyde was winning that fight, I'll say comfortably on points, but it was a little bit closer than maybe what it would have been. There was no real swing rounds. For me, I felt that Sam Hyde was controlling him, and he was outboxing him, and he was hurting him. Now, I give Richard Riakporhe a hell of a lot of praise and credit, because he hung in there. He didn't quit, but his face looked like he wanted to quit. And that's kind of like a bit of an issue going forward. He needs to learn how to bite down that gum shield. And I know that he does like a lot of sparring with Dillian Whyte and Craig Richards and so on. And I think that these guys need to kind of like really put it on him So when he pulls that face, they let him know, you're pulling that face, and that's giving me confidence. You need to show that poker face. Now, Sam Hyde, going forward, he's done himself no injustice whatsoever, okay? He had to be pulled out. It was a nasty, nasty injury. Watching it, I'm thinking that maybe the referee should have stopped before even the towel come in, because one more big punch on that could have burst it, and God knows what would have happened. I mean, a big explosion of blood and pus, and I don't know, it would have been nasty. So I think that the referee maybe should have stopped it, but you know, they waited for Joe Gallagher to throw the towel in. I mean, Sam Hyde, he didn't protest too much, but I think he knew, even though he can't see his own face, but he must have felt it was coming out. But until he watches back the footage or looks in the mirror, he's not going to know quite how bad it was. But anyway, up to that point, he was doing really well. And a rematch, a couple of fights down the line, yeah, I think that these guys should certainly do it to kind of put this one to bed, because although Richard did get the win, Sam Hyde's got to be feeling like, and a lot of fans will feel like, if it wasn't for that one moment, Sam Hyde would have won that fight. Well, I say would have. Listen, it doesn't really matter what happens up until, fact is, Riakporhe did hit him, and that caused the stoppage. So ultimately, it's not really that important. But for me, I'd like to see the rematch, to be honest. And I want to see Riakporhe bite down on that gum shield and show some aggression, because he's got some power and he's got some skill. But don't go for the kill with every single punch, because he was gassing out. He looked like he was gassed. Even if he wasn't gassed, he looked like he was. So all his demeanour, he went flat-footed, he went rigid, he went all robotic. And I think that is going to give his opponents a lot of confidence. And he needs to push through that. And I know it's easy for me to be sat on the outside giving instructions to a guy who's taken all that kind of punishment, but anyway, that is what it is. So anyway, congratulations to both men, and that is to be real. Riakporhe, I'm pleased that he won, but I hope he learns a lot from this fight. I hope he does. I know Dylan will be grilling him when he sees him in the gym next week or the week after about all this, when you talk to him about how that fight went. So listen, this is what you're doing, okay, and this is what you should be doing, okay, and I know Tibbs will be, and all others as well. But anyway, condolences to Sam Hyde. He can take a lot of pride in his performance. He did very, very well. It's a freak injury. You know, it is what it is. It can happen to anybody on any fight. Okay, but anyway, you drop your thoughts below about this fight. What did you make of the stoppage? Do you think that it was right that Joe Gallagher threw the towel in? Maybe you guys know about these kind of injuries. Is there a way to sort out that injury within the minute sat on the stool? I mean, I said I've only ever seen this injury a couple of times, but anyway, it is what it is. That is the result. So congratulations to Richard, condolences to Sam Hyde, and it was a pretty good fight. So anyway, drop your thoughts below, click that thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.